Hold up, why do they doubt the kid? I'm about to prove them all wrong again. I got a low tolerance, cause they don't even know what the problem is. It's me. You waiting on the boy to fail, then hold your breath and face your death. Cause you play the roulette with each step I progress, no less. Go ahead and place your bet.
Welcome back, y'all. This is the Double M Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Jesus Dinero, here with my co-host,
Puma El God.
What do we got going on tonight, my man?
Ilia Dominated showing us that he is an absolute menace in the UFC. Let's talk about it.
We are just fresh off the match, and I mean the match just ended maybe 20 minutes ago. We wanted to give you guys our thoughts on what happened tonight. And listen, unfortunately, we were right. We both said Ilia Dominated would be winning, even though we wanted Charles Oliveira to win. Just like a lot of you guys, we all wanted, our hearts said Charles Oliveira, but our mind and our pockets said Ilia Dominated. Listen, Ilia Dominated will not be denied. I don't care if you like the man or not. The man is not only finishing legends, finishing top-tier competition, finishing the creme de la creme of what the UFC has, but he's calling his shot. He said all week long, I'm going to knock him out in the first round. And what happened? Knocked him out in the first round. After that, there was a little bit of a preview of him and Patty. As far as them getting it on in the future, them, getting in that octagon. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But listen, let's first talk about what happened tonight. There's a number of things. There's a number of issues where I had picked Ilia over Charles, even though I wanted Charles to win. Reason being is, if you guys go back and you watch the Justin Gaethje fight with Charles Oliveira, if you guys go back and watch the Charles Oliveira fight with Michael Chandler, there's one thing that stood out to me constantly, and this is one of the biggest reasons why I picked Ilia. Charles leaves himself open way too much. Don't get me wrong. With Chandler, he was able to take Chandler's punch as well. With Gaethje, he was able to take Gaethje's punch as well. But I didn't believe, and I was proven right, that Charles really had faced anyone with the amount of power that Ilia seems to generate. By everyone's account, Ilia has that power behind him. So when I would see him get caught by Michael Chandler or by Justin Gaethje or a number of other fighters, Dustin Poirier, so on and so forth, he would get caught easily, but he would handle the punch as well. I didn't think he would be able to hold up against the power of Ilia, and that's why I had initially picked Ilia. Again, there's a number of different things that Ilia has at his disposal. Great wrestler, good defense, all that good stuff. And it showed in tonight's fight, but that was the number one thing. I even told my man here, right before the fight started, what Charles needs to do, first 2 rounds, is automatically take any striking out of the equation. It needs to wrestle him into the ground. First 2 rounds. Why? Because in the first 2 rounds is when a striker is at his most dangerous. After that round, hey, obviously they've wasted a little bit of energy, especially if you're wrestling them, if you're using your BJJ, so on and so forth. All of that would slowly burn away at the gas tank of Ilia Dominated. Hopefully 3rd round and on, you'd be able to, if you did strike with them, it wouldn't be as terrible. That's not what happened at all, obviously. Ilia Dominated went in there striking, and unfortunately, Charles Oliveira obliged him. Now, one thing that I'll note that was a little bit, and I want to emphasize a little bit noticeable in this match is that when Charles Oliveira went to wrestle him, Ilia struggled more than normal. I'm not saying he struggled a lot, so don't twist my words, but he struggled more than normal. So I think the jump up in weight is somewhat noticeable, although obviously we didn't get enough of a fight to really see if the jump was going to make that big of a difference. Again, strikers are at their best when they're their strongest. They're at the strongest when they just entered the match. So I would have liked to see it go a little bit more to really see the gas tank of Ilia and to see if his strength would continue into the later rounds. I'll be honest with you, that those were the biggest things that I noticed that were positives for Charles Oliveira. He was able to wrestle him a very, very tiny bit, but not enough to make any sort of a real impact on the power of Ilia, and that's why we saw that knockout. I think that, unfortunately for Charles, this kind of spells a question of what's next for Charles. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say retire by any means. I think Charles is still definitely in the top of that division. But if Ilia was able to manhandle him this easy, I mean, would you guys want to see a rematch? Don't get me wrong, I'd love for Charles to get another title shot, but I mean, this was way too easy for Ilia, unfortunately. So we got to see him take maybe another 2, maybe 3 fights before we can see him back in the picture with Ilia. Before I get on to what's potentially next for Ilia, what do you think about that, my man?
Yo, man, this was an absolute menace of a tour, especially during fight week, during the entire press conference. We already saw the smack talk that Ilia Topuria was giving to Charles Oliveira right at the face-off. He already told him, "I'm gonna show you I'm the best. I just wish it wasn't you." And a lot of people took that to be like, okay, yeah, whatever. He's talking out of his ass. Then he had the pre-fight celebration that he had with his friends and family right before that. And again, throughout entire fight week, he said round 1 knockout. He was absolutely adamant about that. And look, if it was anybody else, if it was any sort of mistake, even if it went past round 2, Ilia would have had a little bit of egg on his face. But again, granted, he still would have. I still think he would have won that, but it would have hit a little bit of egg on his face. But the fact that A, he was so adamant about it, B, that he had all that smack talk to Oliveira to his face, and even celebrating with his friends and family, it shows you this man is going to be an absolute supervillain. And beyond that, beyond the celebration about the fact, not only is he is he bumping shoulders with the Giants out here, being the 10th man to enter champ status, champion in 2 divisions, mind you. This man has done it undefeated. He is literally in a league of his own, and he did it off the back of absolute strikers in Volkanovski, off of Max Holloway. And now he did it, and it's such an absolute menace against Charles Do Bronx Oliveira. Say what you will about Ilia. Say what you will about how fake his persona is, how he isn't actually a villain. I think he's going to be the absolute menace of the UFC. And right now, after his call-outs with Paddy the Baddy always says, "I'm a Scouser. Scousers never get knocked down." Well, the fact of the matter is, Charles Oliveira was actually looking a lot bigger than Ilia Topuria, and Ilia Topuria was actually entering his realm. So, for Paddy Pimblett, for him saying, "I'm a Scouser, Scousers don't get knocked down," they haven't faced Ilia Topuria yet. We're gonna see what's gonna happen, but we're about to see if that saying actually is gonna get tested or not.
Yeah, man, listen, unfortunately, again, I think we can all agree, we all wanted Charles Oliveira to show us a miracle. But, I mean, even if you go back and watch the videos we did, we made jokes about it. Charles by miracle. Charles by grace of God. Charles by some holy, intervention. Whatever you guys want to call it. But, unfortunately, we all knew, man. Ilia's just that guy right now. One way or the other, Ilia's that guy. He's definitely been putting in the work. And, again, stringing a list of names is one thing. Max Holloway, Volkanovski, Charles Oliveira now. And it's one thing to beat them, but this man beat them all by knockout. It's one of those things Ilia will not be denied, my friends. It is what it is. Now, we all kind of got a preview of what's next. My man here said it a second ago. Paddy the Baddy looks like he wants to throw his hat in the ring up against Ilia. Listen, man, I'll be honest with you. I personally have watched a couple of Paddy the Baddy's fights where we were all, again, flash. We were all kind of questioning it. Did he lose? Kind of looked like he lost against lesser competition. So my personal opinion at this juncture, if the Paddy the Baddy the fight is next, I got Ilia. My money's gonna go to Ilia. Unfortunately, it cannot be denied, man. It cannot be denied. It is too strong of a resume, too strong of a statement with each one of these guys' last 3 fights. They're all Hall of Fame names. They're all Hall of Fame. Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira. Those are all names that we all know are going to go into the Hall of Fame when that time comes. And he got them all by knockout, guys. By knockout. Doesn't matter if you don't like Ilia. This man will not be denied. And that being said, I don't think Paddy the Baddy has faced that type of level of competition. He doesn't have the resume that an Ilia Topuria has.
He got decision against Michael Chandler.
He got decision against Michael Chandler. And Michael Chandler is basically everybody's beat-up doll. It's just, I don't see a way that Paddy wins. Now, mind you, in their little face-off, Paddy did look a lot bigger, even bigger than Charles Oliveira. So the question then becomes, does there come a point where the opponent is too big for Ilia Topuria? I'll be honest with you, I don't think Paddy's that guy. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of this person, just because I think he's kind of a little bit of a boring fighter, I think the only one that really gives Ilia a run for his money is Arman Tsarukyan, mostly because of the wrestling, mostly because of the ground game. That's really about it. Justin Gaethje, and as much as I don't like to agree with Colby Covington, he said it himself. Justin Gaethje's punch drunk. I don't see it happening. Justin Gaethje gets caught a lot. And all Ilia needs to do is catch you once, twice, as proven by tonight. And that's it. So I don't see too many people in that division that could really give him a run for his money other than an elite wrestler. Now, another thing that Joe Rogan actually brought up tonight. Ilia, if he continues to string victories, doesn't matter if he moved up. There's one other person that can really give this man a run for his money. Islam Makhachev. And that one, I don't favor Ilia on that one. Not only is, Islam strong as far as his striking, but we all know his wrestling is top tier. It is phenomenal. It is elite. He is Khabib 2. According to Khabib's father, Khabib 2.0. So it'd be interesting to see. What do you think about, man? What do you think about Paddy the Baddy? What do you think about Islam?
I do think that, Paddy the Baddy is definitely going to be another record for Ilia Topuria. And keep in mind, Paddy the Baddy has been an incredibly big hype job for basically a pet project for Dana White. So I do think for Ilia, it's definitely going to be another celebrated name on his record. Not even just from the fans' perspective, but just from the fact that UFC has been basically hyping up Paddy to beat his man. And then look, if the UFC is hyping up somebody to be an absolute menace, and you have a homegrown menace actually show them who the real menace is, then you have no other choice but to basically say, yeah, Ilia is that guy. Ilia is absolutely a guy. He proved it against Charles Oliveira. He proved it against a lot of heavy punchers. And again, I already said that he's already in a league of his own. He's already gotten 2 divisional champ status off the back of very heavy contenders and undefeated, mind you. Granted, you can make the argument that he had a rocket strapped to his back, but again, there's a difference between being a hype job and having early call to heavy competition. It's one thing to be a hype job and to have tomato cans on your record and basically use that to lever yourself to a better position and fight against heavier contenders. But if you have a rocket strapped to your back and you're fighting contenders that people perceive you to be out of your league, and you show, not only can I contend with them, I can beat them pretty easy. In fact, I can predict my matches from a week out. He's not a hype job. Ilia Topuria is just that person. Now, again, to be fair to Oliveira, Oliveira tried to answer from striking from the get to this fight, and then he actually tried to take down Ilia Topuria. And again, Ilia Topuria actually had a little bit of a trouble with the sparring and all that. Oliveira actually almost clinched in a leg hook, and Ilia Topuria actually had some trouble getting out of it. And again, this is what we actually said in our initial preview to the fight, or at least I did at the very least, where I said Oliveira's wrestling was a little bit better than Ilia, but Ilia still had pretty good takedown defense. And to be fair, Oliveira actually did get it in. But I think by that point, the damage that Ilia Topuria did to him, I mean, once he tried to clinch in the leg hook, there was already blood coming down off of his forehead and already seeping into his eye, meaning his vision was compromised and the damage is already done at that point. Ilia just needed to take it on home, and by the middle of the first round, he was able to take it home. So I do think if it absolutely comes down to it, if Islam should make the fight happen, I do think it's going to be one of the biggest challenges that Ilia Topuria is going to face. But as far as other contenders, at least the immediate one with Paddy the Baddy, I do think it's going to be an Ilia fight. If we're going to be honest, it's going to be a man with a rocket strapped to his back that has all the potential in the world versus an actual hype job. But what do you think about my analysis on that?
Yeah, man, I think it's fair. Like I said, I don't think Paddy's that guy. I think, like you said, he's not really homegrown. Yeah, he's got his fans and all that kind of stuff, but to me, it just seems more of a push from the UFC. But Islam is that guy. So that fight would be a mega fight. That would be one of those fights in the UFC that I feel like most people would tune in to watch. And I'm not just talking about the hardcores like us or the hardcores like you guys, but casuals would come in droves because that would be a big fight. It'll be interesting to see. Again, looks like Paddy's up on the chopping block next. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be interesting. I was digging the little bit of back and forth between them in the ring, the push in the end by Ilia. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I personally have Ilia taking that fight. My man here says he's got Ilia taking that fight. So we'll see, man. So hopefully after that, we'll get a little bit of more attention on the Islam and Topuria fight, because that fight would be insane. Especially after this showing, that fight would be insane. And with that, make sure to like, comment, hate, subscribe, DM us about the bullshit, and...
Until next time, get rest and stay blessed. We'll see you in the next one.